Have you ever passed through a place where there are CCTV cameras installed and you know them that they're over there? What is the feeling that you get as soon as you see one of them, right? You suddenly, you become alert. Alert not in the sense that super alert, but at least you know that you're not supposed to do something wrong because you're being recorded, right? So I'm going to show you the same kind of feelings that the Quran produces in its readers through its words, right? Through different ways, right? So for example, one of the ways it does this, produces this feeling, is by telling us that Allah knows everything. So for example, here in chapter 2 verse 29 he says, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, huwa bi kulli shay'in alim," and he is knowing of all things. Or in chapter number 2 verse 95, "Wallahu alimun bil zalim," Allah is knowing of the wrongdoers. And then these are not just two verses, I've just put them here as an example. If you search for it, alim, the Quran is filled with it, so many results, right? 161 results. Huwa bi kulli shay'in alim, he knows everything. Innaka antal alimul hakim. Let me put the English translation. And it's filled with it. The Quran is filled with it. Inna Allah wasi'un alim, right? Innaka anta sami'ul alim, you're hearing, you're knowing. Wa huwa sami'ul alim, he's hearing, he's knowing. Inna Allah shakirun alim, inna Allah sami'un alim, alim, he's knowing. And this, the Quran is filled with this. So you can see Surah Baqarah, Surah Ali Imran, Surah Nisa. It's filled with it. Basically, the Quran is filled with these words. Allah knows, Allah knows, Allah, constantly telling us that He knows what we're doing. Then this is just one concept. The other concept is Allah sees. Wallahu basirum bima ya'malun. Chapter 2 verse 96. And Allah is seeing of what they do. Or chapter number 2 verse 110. Wallah inna Allah bima ta'maluna basir. Indeed, Allah of what you do is seeing. And then the Quran again filled with this basir, basir, basir. If you search for it, you will see basir. You see, Wallahu basirun bima ya'malun. Allah is seeing of what they're doing. Inna Allah bima ta'maluna basir. Of what you're doing, Allah knows that. And Inna Allah bima ta'maluna basir. Inna Allah bima ta'maluna basir. The Quran is filled with results upon results. Surah Nisa, Surah Maida, Surah Ra'ad. And you can see it. Al-Ahzab, Luqman. Quran is filled with it. Then this is what Allah is seeing. Then after seeing, even then the story doesn't stop here. Then Sami', Allah hears as well. Chapter 2 verse 137, wa huwa sami'ul alim, and he's hearing and he's knowing. Or chapter number 2 verse 181, indeed Allah is hearing and knowing. And then again you can do the same thing. Go and search for it, Sami', and you will find results upon results. Chapter Surah Baqarah, innaka anta sami'ul alim, is hearing. Huwa sami'ul alim, is hearing. And go search the entire Quran. Surah Baqarah, Surah Al Imran, Surah Anfal, Surah Tawbah, and filled with Surah Hajj. You can go and search for it, right? Again and again Allah is hearing. And then finally, the last part that gives you this feeling of a CCTV camera is that it's not just seeing and knowing and hearing, rather also recording. For example, in chapter number 50, verse number 18, what does Allah say and onwards? He, that is man, utters no word except that with him is an observer prepared to record, right? The angels. And then chapter number 82, verse 10 and onwards. Indeed appointed over you are keepers, noble and recording. They know whatever you do. And then chapter 10, verse 21. Allah is swifter in strategy. Indeed, our messengers, that is angels, record that which you conspire. Or chapter number 43, verse 80. Bala wa rusuluna ladayhim yaktubuna. Yes, we do, and our messengers, that angels are with them recording. So the Quran is creating this feeling that Allah, the feeling of a CCTV camera, the fact that you know there's a CCTV camera watching you, the feeling of being alert, that kind of feeling is being created by constantly telling you that Allah knows, Allah is watching, Allah is hearing, and Allah even is recording what you're doing, right? And subhanAllah, you see this from the Quran. This is just one of, and then the way you feel alert is when you know there is a CCTV camera, right? If you don't know it, you're relaxed, right? So how will you know if you don't read the Quran? If you keep repeating, constantly, habitually read the Quran, that is when you are aware of it, that Allah knows, Allah is watching, Allah is hearing, I'm being recorded. That is when that feeling is created inside of you, when you know the CCTV camera is watching you. So if you know it, that means you must be reading this habitually. That's what reading the Quran habitually develops in us, the feeling that Allah is constantly watching us, and that we must stay away from the wrong things, and we must do the good things because we are being constantly watched, right? And this feeling can only be created if you read the Quran regularly, right? And this is just one philosophy. And what it does is, it puts you on the right track. If you're doing something wrong, you become alert, you come to the right path, right? And this is the feeling that this one philosophy gives you, right? The philosophy that Allah is watching you, right? And puts you on the right track. The Quran is filled with so many philosophies. And this is what constantly reading the Quran, of course, reading means reading with understanding, does. It puts you constantly, when you go to the wrong direction, it comes and puts you to the right, in the right direction again and again, right? With all its philosophies. This is just one of it, right? One of the philosophies that I'm showing you. And this is the purpose of the Quran, to constantly, habitually stay in connection with the Quran, constantly read it. And reading means reading with understanding. And that is when your life will be guided. So may Allah connect us with the Quran and guide our lives to the right path. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.